last module. The biggest thing about the visual resume is that it is a resume. I cannot tell you how many times we see visual resumes that are more about what like the student likes to do in their free time. Everybody with me on that? This is a resume. Now, when you go to an interview of some kind, generally the employer will ask you what you want to do for your free time, but that's about that much of the interview, right? The majority of the interview is what skills do you have that's going to be a benefit to my business. That's what you want. And so the visual resumes can be tailored to the employer that you're going to. Do you not do that for your resume or your CV or whatever? You kind of tailor it to who I'm trying to get the job with. So you're going to present whichever one you want for up here based on the employers that you're thinking of going in and meeting with for the student, but knowing that those will look different and they should be primarily on the contributions that the student can make to the employer and those choices, and very little on just free.
Yeah, like one of them, this was just last year, it looked like an arts and crafts project. This isn't arts and crafts, this is trying to get people.
Yeah, we don't want a scrapbook.
Yeah, I don't need a scrapbook, we don't need to know about grandma's dog, we got it, grandma's got a dog. Do you know what I mean? And pretty soon, people are so far reaching out there. Keep it to the point that an employer would want to know about in order to gain employment. Does that help?
There is, if you go either on the website and get this PowerPoint or off of your flash drive, there's some examples of what's called representational portfolios, only we needed a V because it was V3, so we went visual resume, but same idea. Examples of them on this is University of, this is Ellen Condon, Montana, I believe. Examples, but it can be written, it can be a portfolio, it can be a PowerPoint. We've had people do videos, we've had people do combos, we've had people do business cards. I mean, any way that you can show an employer what this student is able to do or what contribution they can make to their employment agency. So here's just some tips. Always showing confidence. We actually had one student who came up and presented who had very limited verbal skills. And it was the coolest thing because she did come up to present her visual resume. However, if she's going to verbally present her visual resume, she's going to struggle significantly. It's not going to portray her competence. And so the staff right in front of the audience said, you know, is it okay with you, Sam, if we actually present your visual resume for you? And she was like, yes.
And so Sam's dad actually.
So Sam's dad presented the visual resume. You want to portray where they're at their best, show their competence. And so she did the slides and everything like that, and she would nod, and they kind of conversed without her having to give too many verbal skills because of that. You want to be specific, use verbs. What can they do? What are those skills? Be respectful in your information. We've had actual presentations where it certainly came across like we were blaming the parents that the student doesn't have a job. You got to be really careful that we're not blaming people for not being successful to that point. They don't need to have a job to stand up here. You need to show what we're doing to work forward towards a job. Emphasize the strengths and abilities. Show the strategies that work. What supports make them help the student be independent and help them demonstrate to the best their best ability, their skills. And of course, we've talked about turning the challenges into conditions. So this is just an example. This happens to be Sam's visual resume. And so some things, she was the one that we already talked about with the experience with the dogs. Now she did some stuff, some of this was volunteer and things she would do, but these things are things that can translate into work. Interesting thing about her, she knew all the commands, the animal commands.
They didn't know.
They didn't know, yeah, people didn't know that.
She just knew it by.
Learned on her own. She knew, and she was brilliant at doing dog training. I mean, that's a whole business field. So that was one, and these were just some of the stuff. These were all of the commands that she knew and could teach an animal. In addition to that, she did do some work with early childhood programs, so she had a lot of skills in that regard. So she was demonstrating that. She has other experience through her neighborhood daycare work that she did. Community, this is important. Employers do want to know that you're giving back to your community and volunteer activities. So, and again, many of these things can translate to jobs and skills in jobs, but it's demonstrating too that I'm giving back to my community. And then of course, interests matter, but one slide compared to many slides. So skills and attributes that would benefit your business, and here she listed, I'm caring, I'm compassionate, I'm very punctual. It's interesting when you look at the research on individuals with autism, that the skills that employers care about, they can teach you the job. But the skills they care about is, are you going to be here every day? Because that creates a lot of hassle for me. Are you going to be on time? Are you going to be out sick a lot? Are you going to, those kind of things matter. And so make sure and get those. Individuals with autism tend to be very punctual, and they're going to be there every day. So that's a good thing. So, questions? Your action between now and the next module is have at least sections, section 2, that vocational profile completed. Do a brain blizzard and have that vocational profile completed. When you come back, we'll assign then, we'll actually work on the post-secondary goals using that information, and we'll assign the visual resume, and you'll sign up for your presentation for the last module. We do not know how we are doing it. There is a possibility that we'll actually split this group, and half of you will present in one part of the room and half in the other. It's going to depend on teams. You may have to. So we'll look into that. But anyway, if you have questions, we're here. I think the rest of the time is for you to work on.
Yeah, we wanted to give you some time to get organized for the next module, because that's it, and then the module after that, you're working on it. So we want to give you some time to get organized for where you need to be. Kelly and I and Margie, Kelly, will be here until, well,